Alright, so our application is called Trip2, and basically what it allows you to do is you're able to type in a specific location and it finds relevant information and current information regarding to that location. And this is actually really good for planning a trip or a vacation, if in a week in advance, or it gives you the weather, the news, and attractions. So you can just find, if you have kids, you can find attractions. If you're looking for a nice sunny spot, you can always look at the weather. So it's pretty handy app to use. I'm going to go over the layout and how it runs. So let's put an example right now. All right. So basically, we have the weather that. Okay, there we go. Takes a while to load up. The Flickr API is a little slow, but it's supposed to change the background. Oh, is it up? No. It's supposed to change the background image to a specific URL picture from California. I don't know what's going on with it right now though. Over here we have a sidebar that appends it with buttons. So whatever I put in here, it'll append it with a button. Then down here we have specific panels for different AJAX calls. So this one's coming from the Google API, and it's finding specific weather, and we append it to this panel body. And then for news, we use the Web House IO API, and I'm basically finding information like the title and a link to the specific article that's relevant to the location. And lastly, we have attractions that's rated, that Google rates, and it's for you to scroll down and see if anything piques your interest. Alright, so we're going to go into the code now. And it starts with the submit click function, which is all the way down here. And where is it? Right here. And we're trimming the search query and the user input, and then we're calling the main function, which is the geocoder, and we're bringing the query into the argument, and it basically runs all the AJAX calls. And I'm going to go over the news one. So basically I use the web host IO AJAX as a backup for the news for New York Times, because I had trouble getting the key. So this it did its job, and basically it had a bunch of random articles, so I randomized each one, and within the objects, and I created a linked string. So because the links were so long, they couldn't fit into the body, so I created its own, and I used a link method to create my own version of the link, and then I just appended it to the body. And Matt's gonna talk about how the Google API runs.
Which one?
Should we try opening up the local file so we can get the background noise?
Turn off the background. Let's see.
Try Vermont.
Yeah, I'm just clicking something here that we already searched. The Firebase is putting everything we already searched in there. But I'm going to just kind of tell you how this whole thing works. Kind of starts with our geocoder function up at the top. We use the geocoder API that Google provides to provide basic location information, and the thing we're using in all the other calls is the latitude and longitude, and we're pretty much taking the latitude and longitude out of the Google link up there, and pretty much using that to pull the news, to pull the places, and to use that in every search query we do below. The geocoder is pretty awesome because you can pretty much put anything into your search, like a city nickname, NYC, and it'll still return stuff relative to your search. So it's very flexible like that. I've done it with zip codes too, so if you're trying to search here in Brunswick, 08901, you could do that too. So we had a bunch of stuff emptying and showing, all thanks to geocoder. The next API call we use is the weather. If I could find it in there. And the funny thing with the weather was, it was hard for me. We use the Open Weather API, which we've used in class before. It was kind of difficult to find an API that allows you to do HTTPS encoding without paying them about $400 a month. So We're using HTTP now, but I was able to load it to my domain. So if you want to play along at home, go to angryjenkins.com, which is me, /Trip2, and you can go on there and enter as many searches as you want and try to crash lose Firebase. The cool thing we do with the weather here, if I can pull it up, is there's obviously a lot of information, highs and lows and wind and stuff, and I really was kind of at a loss on how to organize all that until I remembered how we learned about object-oriented type things in class. So I was able to make an object for every weather unit I wanted to extract and just pull all those conditions into that paragraph there. The Open Weather API is pretty cool because it pretty much gives you, well, everything you'd want to know about the weather. It returns everything in Kelvin temperature, so I had to include a little math to convert that to Fahrenheit and Celsius, because who uses Kelvin, you know? And it also spits out data in 3-hour increments. So each object up here is taking a list item 0, list item 4, so I could forecast every 12 hours in the display there. Anything else I did that's important? I don't think so. I'm going to have to hand this off to Lou, who's going to tell you about the photos and the Firebase.
All right, so with the photos, my parts in this project is concentrated on the user experience. So I wanted something nice and pretty when you opened up the page. So I used the geocoder API in order to access the latitude and longitude of the pictures. So when you do a get function for the Flickr API, where is it? There you go. Yeah, so as I was saying, we return multiple objects. I returned 4 photos, and I randomized each photo with a random function, just so if you search for the same city multiple times, you get different photos, so it's not the same experience over and over. We also I used a jQuery plugin in order to get this recently searched sidebar going. So you can click certain cities and a picture from that city pops up again, as well as all the weather and news. Where is that? So with the Firebase, is pretty standard Firebase, just on child added. We dynamically created a button with class ID, and then I use that ID in order to search when the button is clicked. So I think Matt's gonna wrap us up here. Tell us about some future.
Oh yeah, why not? Yeah, one thing we realized while working on this is that we had a nice idea to start with, but we realized we were pulling a whole lot of information, and we have a whole lot of data to spit, and there's probably even more to add. We could probably include some things about social media going on in each place if we use the Twitter API, stuff like that. We also had some stuff in development that we did not quite include yet because of merger issues, but we're working on map integration. Steve did a lot of work on that, and I guess the whole purpose of any app is to monetize it. We could put some hotel links, get some Expedia going. Their API is a beast, by the way, so we didn't really want to touch that yet. But, in the future, maybe we can consider that. But all in all, I think we got a lot of good work in, and we're showing a lot of good data to the people. And we created an interface that's fun and good looking, and I like a lot. And I think these guys do too. Thank you very much. That was Trip2.
Yeah, I can talk about that. Google Maps had a lot of problems with the Google search that he was doing. It was really hard to correlate through, so we had to choose which one to utilize it. And we're still trying to work on that.
You guys have a very cool interface, things like weather screen, really clear, really easy to use. I love the background, the changes, the previous searches, all that stuff is really good. Really, really
Thank you.